Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the moon, sextile, or trine, Mars, and Synastry. First off, the unconscious side of inner personality, which is the moon person, may be in harmony and compatible with what drives and motivates the Mars person. The Mars person um, generally will be there or will if the moon person needs something, the say if the moon is in Aquarius, those emotional needs can be connected, associated with astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, aviation, things of that nature. um, the thing too is that and not just need something, things that require physical strength, that require more energy too. And if the moon person has their moon in Scorpio, for example, could be transforming a home as an example, something with transformation or recycling, anything that could be Scorpio related, which would require certain physical strength and energy. And if this is a sexual relationship and the moon person needs sex, the the Mars individual may often oblige willingly, because the moon is about what we need, and Mars is connected with sex. So if you have you're in a sinister, you're in a relationship that is not platonic, that is sexual, this is where it could be positive for that. Now, the thing about this too is that this aspect may be auspicious, for really for procreation, because you have the moon involved, Mars is connected with sexuality, and you have the thing about this too is that the moon person may readily respond to Mars person if he or she say has a physical injury or is in any kind of pain. And the thing is, you have the Mars let's say the Mars person has their Mars in Sagittarius, it could be physical pain or injury, maybe something associated with Sagittarius, such as something with the hip, for example, or sciatic nerve. Another thing too is looking at the synastry aspect, the Mars person, in this connection, may be the one, it's a little bit more dominant, that's the leader, has that leadership role more, um, and the moon person may be the more submissive, passive person. But the fact that you're talking about a positive aspect, a sextile or trine between Mars and moon in synastry, the moon person can be amenable to this. And that's what can make it positive. The moon person may not mind being in that position. If this is a situation, say, where it's a supervisor employee connection, let's say the Mars person is in a management position, is a supervisor, and the moon person is in that subordinate role, this could go very well in that situation. And as far as the compatibility and the moon person being responsive to the Mars person, remember, moon is connected with responses and reactions, and may take direction from the Mars person well without becoming overly sensitive to it or defensive or what have you. Now, another thing is that the Mars person may give the moon person more courage. It could be doing things home related. It could even be standing up to a family member in some cases, if that is needed. and just in home-related matters in general, could simply be initiating a new move of a person. The moon person, say, has procrastinated for some time and a transition is needed as far as their home situation goes. This is the time where you have, you know, you have like that connection, or I should say, that Mars person has that ability to give that drive and motivation and incentive to the Moon person to actually do, to actually get on and move forward and do, what needs to be done that is connected with the home. And the Moon person may readily, offer, really, I should say, they could offer, that Moon person may offer protection, to the Mars person. If the Mars person needs help in terms of, could be a possible physical confrontation. The Mars person is being harassed physically. The Moon person may offer sympathy, but offer protection as well to the Mars individual if that is a situation that arises. Now, what I've stated in my earlier natal chart videos, that applies to the Synastry ones as well. You're talking about, okay, never isolate any single one astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on that alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. And the same applies to Synastry. One aspect is certainly not going to make, a Synastry aspect is not going to make or break a connection. In this case, the Moon sextile or trine Mars in Synastry is certainly no exception. In most, Synastry charts, you're going to have a plethora of aspects between person A and person B. Now, this is a good aspect in terms of, I would say, it could be a, sexual connection, emotional, commitment, maybe to the, to the Mars person from the Moon person. But the thing about this is, you have to look at, other aspects that are, between person A and person B, because you might have some adverse ones. In this case, there may be some adverse ones that could offset this to some degree. Now, it doesn't change the basic, delineation and interpretation of this aspect, but it may make it a little bit less intense and have a little less significance. Now, let's say, for example, okay, you have in a Synastry chart, you have two people that have the Moon sextile or trine Mars in the Synastry chart. Now, let's say those two people, let's say that Mars is making an adverse aspect to the other person's ascendant. That could be a case where the Mars person may not always be enthusiastic, or be motivated, maybe a little less motivated to do things for that ascendant person. Say if that Moon person is the one with the ascendant, or let's take another example. Let's say you have the Moon sextile or trine, or I should say, let's say the Moon person may not be motivated to help the ascendant person in terms of new beginnings and helping that person, do things, maybe of a physical nature, and this is or may not even have this as much sexual attraction to that ascendant person physically. Now, let's take another example. Let's say again you have this aspect, the Moon sextile trine Mars and Synastry with two people, but you have let's say that the Moon is making an adverse aspect to Saturn. Well, that could indicate the Saturn person may often downplay the Moon person's efforts, and may not even see a lot of negativity, a lot of the negative traits of the Moon person's unconscious, side in the inner personality. So you have to look at the whole picture. The Saturn person may may cause the Moon person to feel more despondent, more than positive. But anyway, people, That'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.